guys. Can you see me okay? I had to clean the lens. Well, welcome to Soul of the Watch. This is Celestial Piper. You guys know me as Danielle. I am so happy to see you guys this morning, already in the chat room, ready to go. And you're probably like, what is up with the title of this video this morning? Well, my friends, I wanted to do something different. I mean, this is Soldier of the Watch, right? So I figured this topic has a lot to do with affecting how our minds are and how making them more healthy. Our spiritual aspect is so important to our mental health. And it's also important to our physical health, because if our mental health isn't good, because our spiritual health isn't good, then our bodies aren't going to be good. Makes sense, right? So let me just say hi to all you here in the chat room. I see Sapphire and Phil and Nightblade. Am I missing anybody? Let's scroll back. You guys talking about anything good? I don't know what it is, but like I'm in a really much better spot on my front porch so that the sun's not bothering me, but yet I can't find my little scrolly thing on the side. Alrighty. Oh, Nightblade, you're so funny. I'm dressed. That's a plus. How many of us can say that? Well, I'm dressed. My shirt says, but first champagne. It's probably backwards on your end, but first champagne. I didn't have any champagne this morning. Honestly, I can't drink anymore. I've been changing for the better, and then once in a while I could have a glass of wine, but I have no desire for it. So yeah, it's good. So Phil, it's good to see you on here. Missed you the other day, but you had good reasons not to be here, so that's cool. Phil says, I'm in my PJs and most of my videos on my channel, LOL. Make sure everybody checks out Phil Arnold's channel lineage. He's got some good videos on there. I'll do my best, Phil, to remember to put the link in the detail screen. So before we get started, I had a pretty rough weekend. Friday, as you know, wasn't feeling the greatest. And then Saturday, I was really not feeling good. And I still wasn't great yesterday. It was rainy the last 3 days. So that played a big, big role in it. So, you know how that is. So, yeah, I was kind of not myself. Glad it happened over the weekend, so that way you guys can see the better me. Still a little bit tired. I didn't want to wake up this morning, but it is beautiful out. There's a nice breeze out. You can't ask for anything better. The sky is so blue. After the grayness of the last 3 days, which just puts anybody in a, I don't want to say a foul mood, but just kind of like a blah, you know. But I'm sure you guys can relate. And that, my friends, if you can hear it, is a hawk. We watched a hawk go by the window over the weekend. I shouldn't chuckle because hopefully he didn't catch the little bird, but he does have to eat. He was going after a little bird, and he was going after the ones that are like, they've made a nest on my front porch. And I'm like, dudes, this is my front porch. You know, like they freaking dive bomb my head. Like I am invading their space. Well, guess what? You made your space on my porch. I mean, what's up with that? Don't dive bomb my head. It's like, you know, the owner of the home. I could take your place away. I won't do that, but I could take your place away. Anyway, every year they come back and poop all over my porch. That everybody poops, right? Anyway, so as you can tell from the title, our video today is about secret revelations of Jesus and the fourth dimension. Now, before I get into this, I just want you guys, my whole purpose is just to expand your mind. A lot of us go by what we're taught in church. There, and not everybody. Now, I know my girl Sapphire. She's in the Word, but there's a lot of people that are in the church that just kind of go every Sunday and they rely on the teachings of the pastor. Now, the pastor is not God. The pastor or priest or whoever it is a man. And, hopefully they have their own relationship with our Creator. But, they can make mistakes and stuff too. And they're only passing on teachings that they've learned from going to school, because a lot of them have to go to school and get a degree in order to teach. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It has a lot to do with denominations and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm kind of going off so I have been seeking the scriptures, listening to different teachings, but mostly like relying more on what I feel the Creator is inspiring me to know. And which I've not done in the past, and I have been following the Bible and things like that for 11 years almost. And it wasn't until this year that my eyes had kind of opened. As Paul said, the scales were removed from his eyes. Anyway, I see so much more in what Jesus was teaching. Now, I'm not going to get into all that. This is your own journey, okay? But I'm going to point out some things for you. And I pray that you will take that, because anything that comes to us, like I think it's 2 Thessalonians, they would go and search the scriptures for themselves after after he had taught them. And I believe that's Paul. And so that's what I want for you guys, is just to be hungry and go search it for yourself. I think there's so much deeper meaning in Jesus' teachings, because he taught in parables. And there was a reason for him teaching in parables, a very good reason. And I think there's so much more we can learn from him than meets the eye. I think there are secrets wrapped up in his words while he was here in this 3D dimension, okay? And I also believe that Jesus was operating in other dimensions. He walked on water. He's calmed the storm. And he also said to his disciples, and that went for us as well, okay, because these teachings are passed down, that we would do even greater things than him, because he was in his 30s when he died. He was going to his Father, okay? I'm just going to look over here in the chat just in case I'm missing anything. Awesome, Nightblade. Thank you for subbing to his channel. Nightblade is number 58 on Phil's channel. Hey, there's my friend Mike. It's quantum physics. I totally agree there, my friend. And Phil says that he sometimes he feels that he's here to write songs to help people like that. And that's his way of helping, unless he's struggling with depression, and that goes through the roof, and then nothing matters then. Well, we are here to experience emotions and all sorts of things. And part of that, Jesus, he had emotions as well. He threw over the table, probably cracked whips, I don't know, threw the money, and all that stuff, because they were making a mockery out of the temple of the Lord, and we are the temple of our Creator. But anyway, I'm kind of going off. I really want you guys to just look deeper into this yourself. Okay, that's the whole point. I'm not going to push any of what I've gotten on my own with my relationship with the Creator and what I've been seeking and finding. That's for you to find on your own. So anywho, I'm going to go into the first article. The first article is just kind of like a little tidbit and not really the main of the show, but just something I want to throw at you for you guys to search for yourself. And this is on www.livescience.com. And before I get started, like Mike said, he said he was talking about physics and stuff like that. Guys, look into that because it's actually pretty amazing. And I was reading some stuff this morning on the electricity that's within us, what we're made of, all the different elements and things like that. It is mind blowing. And for atheists out there, I can't wrap my mind in thinking that there's not an intelligent designer. I can't. And hopefully their minds will be freed and they'll be able to see that. So Jesus' Secret Revelations, and it says copy of forbidden teachings found in Egypt. This is by Brandon, and I have the link in there, Spector. That's a pretty cool last name. And I just love looking at the pictures when they have like the old like papyrus and whatever material it's made out of. And again, guys, like I am no scholar or anything. I just kind of learn and from researching and things like that. So he says that the oldest known copy of a text claiming to be Jesus' teachings to his brother James has been discovered in an ancient Egyptian trash dump, scattered among piles of 5th century papyrus, ancient tax receipts, and bills of sale for wagons and donkeys. Well, first of all, just that first paragraph, I think it's like super cool. Call me a nerd. And I am. The manuscript is a rare Greek language edition of an apocryphal New Testament story called The First Apocalypse of James. That, until now, was thought to only be preserved in the Coptic language, which is an indigenous, I can't speak, Egyptian language evolved from hieroglyphics. So according to a statement, the text was likely written in the 5th or 6th century, said Brent Landau, a religious studies lecturer at the University of Texas at Austin, who presented the findings along with Jeffrey Smith, a religious studies scholar at UT Austin at the Society of Biblical Literature, annual meetings in Boston in November, and then the findings have not yet been subject to peer review. So the find belongs to a collection of more than, get this, 200,000 papyrus documents housed at Oxford University in England. Now, mind you, the document looks like it's like this big, and the writing's kind of big on it too. Let's see. It was first excavated from a rubbish heap in the Egyptian town of, oh, Lord help me, Oxyrhynchus in the late 19th century. I probably said that wrong, guys, but you can read it for yourself and see the spelling. Smith and Landau pieced together the document from 6 different papyrus fragments in the collection earlier this summer, and the two have been studying the Oxyrhynchus findings for more than 2 years. That kind of sounds like a disease. That's terrible, because I'm probably pronouncing it terribly. There's also a link that says Religious Mysteries, 8 Alleged Relics of Jesus. I have not yet looked at that, but I know when I get off of here, I probably will. Let's see here. A rare find. So the manuscript is significant for a few reasons, Landau said. For one, He said it's written in Greek, which makes sense because majority of what we have in the New Testament, not including the documents that were left out, was done in Greek, because Greek was the earliest language that was in the original Christian writings, like I said, and they were composed in because it was sort of the universal language of the Roman Empire at that time. And it's also extremely rare to find apocryphal text in Greek. It was definitely the original language. That means while this is not the first copy of the first Apocalypse of James ever found, it is likely the oldest. The only other known version of the text was discovered in the Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of 13 Coptic Gnostic books excavated in Egypt in 1945, and they were buried in jars underground. The Nag Hammadi books were likely hidden for safekeeping sometime after 367 AD, and that was when Athanasius, the Bishop of Alexandria, defined the canon of 27 books known today as the New Testament. Now, you don't want me to go into a spiel. I have a video on it, guys. Maybe I'll link it to the video later, where I went through exactly how the New Testament was put together. That's a soapbox of mine. And it's all other stories like those found in Nag Hammadi collection were deemed heretical. Who was Jesus, the man? Considering the manuscript's forbidden status, another surprising aspect is that it appears to be a teaching edition. Nearly all of the syllables are divided with these little dots right in the middle of the line, Landau said. Manuscripts of the time were often written in a fluid, continuous script. To see syllables so clearly, I lost my spot because this stupid thing is like divided like this, suggests that the book was a teacher's tool produced to help students learn how to read and write in Greek. And by the time this text would have been used in somebody's school in the 5th or 6th century, this text was effectively banned. So clearly, this instructor, whoever he or she was quite fond of the first Apocalypse of James. So, forbidden text, and where's my little thing again? Gnostic texts like the first Apocalypse of James were likely banned because of their different understanding of what Jesus' importance was. They understood Jesus much more in terms of being a revealer of human wisdom than as Messiah. According to these Gnostic texts, Jesus taught people that the material world was actually a prison created by an evil god, a lot like the movie The Matrix, essentially, which, man, that movie like really blows my mind. In the first Apocalypse of James, Jesus describes this prison to his brother. He reveals that the world is guarded by demonic figures called archons who are blocking the path between the material world and the afterlife. What James needs to get by them when he dies are passwords, sort of like cheat codes in a video game. So that makes me think of like how Jesus would always talk in parables and things like that, because it was kind of like coded messages. So you can see how this is pretty countercultural and not accepted by many. So Landau and Smith are currently working to publish their findings in an upcoming series of, here comes that word again, Oxyrhynchus pepperi, an ongoing catalog of the Oxyrhynchus discovery first published 120 years ago. So that's that first article. I found it very interesting. And if anything, it makes me want to dig a little more into that. Now, I don't know. This was the Gospel of James, his Apocrypha or Apocalypse of James. There's also a book of Thomas that doesn't follow a lot of what we have in our New Testament today. As you guys know, especially anybody who really it dives into the scriptures and things. There are many things that have been manipulated, changed, unfortunately. Now, I know that there are a lot of Christians out there that may get angry with me or impatient with me, or whatever word you want to think of, because I said that. However, just think logically for a moment. If you, and they call the evil people that run this world the archons, okay? That's something I want to dive into a little bit more, because this is kind of new for me, looking at the history and things like that, because I would just take everything I read or was taught for, exactly what I was being told. But what if, okay, this is a big what if, and it's in that video that I have done, okay? There is a channel that has all the forbidden gospels. I'm going to totally look that up. I shouldn't be surprised, though. I mean, you could pretty much find anything on YouTube. But we got to be really careful what we watch on YouTube too, because there is a lot of deceivement as well as truths. So always be prayerful and mindful. But I think when we have a certain faith or certain belief system, we tend to put blinders on. Well, in all fairness, to believers, and in any kind of religion and stuff, it happens because what we're taught and things that we're told in there, that we shouldn't question it and blah 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 blah. So we are naturally fearful of being deceived. It's understandable, right? So, and then, you see scriptures that say that the heart is deceitful among all things, but then you hear people say, follow your heart. So it can definitely be confusing. We also know that we are taught that the author of confusion is Lucifer himself, or Satan. Now, there are teachings that I see, like when you see Jesus tell Peter, when Peter says, oh no, and he was rebuking what Jesus was saying about him having, to die. And he said, get away from me, Satan, for you have, I know I'm not going to quote this totally, but he says, you don't have, what you come to me is a stumbling block because it's in his flesh and not in the spirit. And I totally messed that up. So, look it up for yourselves, guys, because, there's some scripture I can say it word for word and some. But back to getting where I was at, I think that's the reason why it's so important for us not to take everything we see face value, but we really need to look into the history of the times, the historical figures of that time, the kind of person they were at that time, and also really just be discernful in what you're reading. Check the Greek and the Hebrew. There are books. Why did they leave the books out? Okay. Are these books actual true teachings, and were the ones that we have maybe put in there to control people? I don't know. They could very well have done that. I mean, we know how evil these people are. And it goes far back, because we know that they're all related to kings and stuff from way back. I think Mr. T and Mrs. C, I think I seen something where they're cousins. Anywho, and then we got the queen and the king, or not king, her husband. I don't know how that works. I don't really care. But I heard he's her cousin. So it's like, but anyway, I'm going to come over here to the chat before I go into the next thing. I tend to go on little bunny trails and all, but and Sapphire, what she says here, very, very careful. Resource and research for viewing is different than participating. Those are wise words. Definitely, you need to. Oh, sorry, my mom's reminder for her appointment came up for tomorrow. You got to be really discernful in both sides of it. So just be careful in everything that you do, and read. And just like I said a little while ago, YouTube, you definitely need to be careful, because what you don't want to do is listen to, take somebody's opinion as gospel and then go with that. You really need to look within yourself. You need to go to the creator. You need to check everything out for yourself and find what's fact and so forth and weigh all that. And I'm going to scroll back here because I don't want to miss any of your comments. I love you guys and you're all important to me. Where is the scrolly bar? Why does it disappear on me all the time? It's just so mean. Here we go. So, okay, so Mike says he finds a lot of resonance with Thomas. I can't wait to check that one out. And Mike says that he wrote some awesome articles for Edge of Wonder and wonder if they'll let him get them back. I'm sure they would. They're really good guys. Send them an email. I know they've been really busy. You know, the bigger they're getting, the more busier they're getting, which is understandable. But they usually feel very bad when it takes them a while to get back to you. I had sent them a message over Facebook, and I used to talk to them all the time through email, and they would get back to me right away. But they didn't get back. They didn't answer. Not that I expected them to answer it back, but they didn't answer the message on Facebook back until last week. And they're like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's okay, guys." You know how many people probably email them, you know? So I'm just looking to make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, the Gospel of Philip is not part of the Cana or Cana. I never know if I say it right. Phil, I share in your gut feeling. That's why I got led to it. I believe I got led to it. I really do. Yeah, and you know what, Mike? In my video that I did, if you hadn't seen it, check it out. It drove me crazy, and I just couldn't believe it when I read this. Is that the way that Constantine chose, with all these other leaders of what books to put in the New Testament or in the Bible altogether, was that they he threw the books that they handed to him, and whatever stayed on the table and was put in the book, and then whatever fell off was left out. That's what I read. Now, I don't know how much truth it is, but if that's exactly how they did it, oh my goodness, seriously? That would really make me angry. Exactly. How many times did Jesus rebuke the religious leaders? A lot. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, I'm having an issue with my little scrolly bar. All right. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to go over to the next article about the fourth dimension. And this I see. I honestly, totally believe that Jesus was operating dimensionally. I always used to say um, for years now that if we were to see other dimensions like crossing with ours, that some of us might be sucking our thumb and peeing our pants because it would freak us out. Because majority of us think on a three-dimensional existence and not beyond that. But we are made in our creator's image, and we have the ability to think past three-dimensionally. The father of this world, we know who that is, the adversary, and these demi little g gods would like anything but to keep us in our three-dimensional fleshy minds and not beyond that. Jesus was trying, and I truly believe, to get us past that. That's the reason why he said, you will do greater things than me. You can say to this mountain, move, and the mountain will move. We can do that. And different dimensions, things can be manipulated, both for good and for bad. So there are many passages in the Bible that can be interpreted. And guys, by the way, this link is from www.math.brown.edu. That is the link is located in the details where I put all that stuff at. There are many passages in the Bible that can be interpreted to prove the existence of higher dimensions. Disappearances can be explained by the escape into a physical fourth dimension. William Anthony Granville, who's the author of The Fourth Dimension in the Bible, explains a man, three-dimensional being, who has been translated from our space into a higher dimension space will remain invisible to earthly beings until he returns again to our space. Genesis 5:24 and Hebrews 11:5 describe Enoch walking with God and disappearing because God took him. Jesus inexplicably escapes from threatening multitudes twice. I mean, how many times, like, they're coming at him, he's like standing on the edge of a cliff, and then all of a sudden he's not there, right? Similar to the power to disappear from three-dimensional beings, anyone who can move in a fourth physical dimension could also transport himself, herself anywhere in our three-dimensional world instantly. And that's a really tough one to wrap our minds around, right? Where am I? Yeah. The Bible also contains examples of appearances which also are easily explained with the use of the fourth dimension. Twice Jesus entered the room of the disciples without using a door. So that's John 20:19-23, 26-29, if you guys want to check that out. Entering a room through its walls is only possible via the fourth dimension. Another example of movement only possible in the fourth dimension is contained in Acts 8:39-40. And this is Philip baptized a eunuch on a road and then was swept up by the Lord and found later that day at Azotus. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Or Azotus, I don't know, which was several days' journey from where Philip baptized the eunuch. God is considered to be omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and infinite to human beings, right? So these characteristics seem impossible for humans to understand, really hard for us to wrap our minds around. Many people base their spiritual faith on this lack of understanding and attribute to God's characteristics that are impossible for three-dimensional humans to understand. However, the existence of God as a higher dimensional being explains these characteristics simply. God as a higher dimensional being is only omnipotent, omniscient, etc. to lower dimensional beings. The existence of higher dimensions clearly explains all of these powers attributed to God. It is interesting to consider God's dimensionality. While some people believe that God exists in the fourth dimension, many others place God in higher dimension. Me personally, if I were to think in those terms, I would think he would be at the highest of dimensions. That's just my opinion. The following websites attribute God as existing in the 12th dimensions. Then it says the dimensions, a cosmology. Atheists have proven God does not exist, right? Question mark. While this view does not seem illogical, it does seem a bit arbitrary. Spirit Web describes the 12th dimension as a combination of unity and duality because the number 12 is composed of 1 and 2. Spirit Web continues to describe the 12th dimension as it includes and exceeds all infinities. Beyond definition, it is always more than we can imagine. Another spiritual view of God's dimensionality states that not only does God exist in a higher physical dimension, but may also attain higher dimensions of time and even other factors. The following site argues that God must have 2 dimensions in order to be able to hear and respond to 2 different people at the same time. Now, I don't know about that, and I'm not going to begin to question any of that because it's our creator. And Bible on the 4th dimension, a second dimensionality of time would allow God to hear simultaneously all who wish to communicate. The idea that there are other factors of dimensionality which we are not even aware of is interesting. It seems possible that we could only understand the first dimension of another characteristic and thus cannot even imagine the possibility of higher dimensions. Feelings, emotions, telepathy are possible examples. Whether God exists in the 4th, 12th, or any other dimension, I would think he would exist everywhere. As a higher dimensional being, God can be anywhere at any time and can choose whether or not to let us see an image of God. Similarly, we as 3-dimensional beings could choose what images of ourselves we allow inhabitants of 2-dimensional flatland to see. We can either exist above or below the flatland plane and remain invisible, or can let it intersect us, showing to the citizens of flatland a cross-section of ourselves. God, by the same metaphor, can either view us and remain invisible, or can choose to allow us to view a 3-dimensional square section of God's physical body. The most major contribution of higher dimensional study to spiritualism relates to death. Death is the most frightening event in the life of a human because when one dies, one can have no knowledge of what death brings. This, and certainly regarding death, for the most part, explains the importance of religion and spiritualism on earth. Many religions quell this fear and encourage good behavior by saying that good people are rewarded with eternal salvation or a type of heaven, while bad people are eternally damned to a place like hell. The existence of higher dimensions provides the opportunity for different explanations of what happens when we die. Good people, as defined by religion, rather, wait a minute. Good people, as defined by religions, rather than going to heaven, may shift to another world in the 4th dimension rather than going to heaven. This world may or may not be a utopian existence. They may be able to look down our 3-dimensional world, or they may only be able to imagine looking down upon it as we imagine looking down on flatland. This shift may not even be restricted to any type of people, but may happen to everyone. Or it may be restricted to good people only, with bad people being damned into 2 or 1 dimension. It goes further, talks about 2 Kings 2:11 describes Elijah being separated from Elisha by a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and then Elijah being taken away to heaven in a whirlwind, rather than the popular belief of heaven existing in the clouds and hell existing underground. Both may exist in 4th dimension. That concept even follows the belief that those in heaven can look down upon those on earth. Rather than looking down from the clouds, our ancestors may look down upon humans from the 4th dimension. By this rationale, those in hell also can look up at us, also from the 4th dimension. And that would also explain why, as 3-dimensional beings, can never find either heaven or hell. Movement to a higher dimension upon death would also explain how a dead body remains on earth, but a part of the person, his or her soul, can move into a higher dimension without being seen by earth inhabitants. The idea of a soul moving into the 4th dimension and being eternal, always the fear of death, being eternal, allays the fear of death to many people. Higher dimension can be used to provide a future beyond death. Religion may not be necessary to as many people in the future as an explanation of death. The faith required in religion can be lessened by the scientific example of higher dimensionality. Now, just so you guys know, I thought it was an interesting article, and that's about it. Just something for me to go, hey, I want to check more into this and look at the Bible along with it and Jesus' teachings, because in some of the stuff that I saw, it popped out to me as, you know what, I think Jesus was talking about this, and what if it was this kind of thing. Granted, going into it discernfully, carefully, and none of this, I'm not going to push what I believe or what I've come to believe or anything out on you. I want you guys, it's your own journey here. Everybody has their journey. This is your journey. And I'm just encouraging you guys to check it out for yourselves and see what Papa puts on your heart. That's it. So come over here to the chat room, see how you guys are doing. I will say this, I definitely, I mean, science is showing that in itself. Not that I put a lot of faith in science, but they're even seeing, you know, proof of dimensions and things like that. And so the thought of it, I mean, even Paul, he mentioned like the third heaven and stuff like that. So what did he mean by that, right? So naturally, there's got to be some type of dimensions and things like that. Does it go up to the 12th dimension? You know, it just makes you wonder. And then you look at the planets and stuff like that, and you look at ancient religions of the past and what they call mythology, and you at least this is what I do. I think to myself, what was their mindset when they were writing all this down? Were they seeing something up in the heavens that were making them believe this way or think this way? Another mind-blowing thought, but these are the kind of thoughts I have, you know. And I usually go, all right, wise teacher, help me out here. But all right. Hey, Grant, I need to get with you. I was hoping either Wednesday or Friday we can have you on, and so I need to know what time. So if you can send me a message on Hangouts and let me know if Wednesday or Thursday is good for you and what time would be good for you. I'd love to do an interview with you. We would do it as a premiere, so it would be recorded. So if you can get back to me, that'd be awesome. Thanks for showing some love, Grant. Phil says he likes Mike's thinking. And Mike says the fontanelle is the energy entrance and an ancient word for fountain. And Mike says, Jesus says, for the sheep, the portal openeth. And then Phil says, personally, I believe the deep state ended all our connections by cutting our connection. And that's how I'm seeing things, Phil, as well. And Mike says it's infinite in both directions, the microcosm and into the macrocosm. Dolores Cannon, in your carpet, there are infinite universes. Carolyn Lowe says, Crow Lady Networking. Hi, Carolyn. Welcome. Oh, we are definitely going to win. We have a divine spark within us all. We're created in our Creator's image. Yeah, so I know that I had this topic is definitely going to maybe shake some people up. Again, I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I'm just stating, hey, let's take a peek at this and research it for ourselves. I love the book of Daniel, Sapphire. There's a lot of dimensional stuff in there. Just from the angels coming to him with answered prayer and stuff like that is mind-blowing. And let's see here. Yeah. And Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. All right. Just don't want to miss anybody's comments. Sapphire says, it takes a lot of research to come to that conclusion. Think about the rituals and power gaining. And if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, yep. And Mike says, canon in Greek is Canaan, meaning control. Or Canaan in Greek is, all right, so it's with a C in Greek is Canaan or canon in, I don't never know if I'm pronouncing that right, with a K, and it means control. How about that? I didn't know that, Mike. I have to look into that. And Sapphire says it all leads back to evil worship of demons and gaining secret knowledge to keep away from the masses. God forbid if we were use everything that Jesus says that we have the ability to do, we would be a formidable spiritual weapon. Just trying to choose my words wisely. Junior, hey! So, Junior, I think it was you that wanted to see some of my artwork. So, I don't have all of it because I would give it away, and unfortunately didn't take any pictures. So, I will bring you into the house, which is messy, but oh well, we're all friends here. So, I have some of it hanging on my walls. So behind me is some of it. And then behind me over here, if you can see, there we go. Whoops, there we go. I've done that because I'm a big comic book nerd. You can see my table. I've done a coffee table and that whole decoupage thing and TV tray in it. Hopefully I'm not getting you guys seasick. And then I got up there some stuff that I did. I don't know if you guys can see it. That scary looking creature up there is Venom from, Marvel. And I'll take you upstairs. I should play you a tune. You really don't want me to play you a tune. All right, so it's dark because I don't have the hallway light on. Whew. Okay, so my bedroom, and there is a painting right there. So it's kind of like a celestial sky. And go into my messy office. And this is my favorite painting. That is my pride and joy right there. I did that with my fingers. That is, I woke up one morning completely inspired. I have to get back to painting this, but this was one that I was working on when I started doing Marfs. So there you go. All right, so that's it for now. Painting wise, I need to get back into it. I see a lot of Celestial Piper on here. What am I missing? You can coded access to your house. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. So you could hear me going beep, 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 beep. Yeah, well, we had somebody living here. I know you guys have heard me in the past say that, and I'm moving down the steps good today, that we've taken many people in. My husband has a bleeding heart. He's a beautiful man. And, I mean, me too, but my husband's more, he has more of the gift of hospitality than I do. Even though I seem pretty much an extrovert, I'm actually an introvert. So it's kind of funny. I have extrovert tendencies, but yeah, I like my space, But we've had tons of people here, and the last ones who was a friend of ours for years. Well, he really learned how somebody is, and he was a complete narcissist and manipulator, and well, they usually are. And him and his daughter stayed here, and I didn't agree with his parenting. Concerned about her, and so anyway, we finally had to tell him he had to leave. So we, got the coded entry and stuff like that put in, and yeah. So anyway, it was a difficult situation, and I'm totally glad it's over. So maybe next time I'll do a song, Phil. You're so sweet. You love the comic Harley Quinn. She is. I always make jokes and say she's my alter ego. um, with the glow paints, that's cool. You're a hippie mama too. Oh, thank you, Nightblade and Junior. I am so drawn to celestial art, like no other. But hence my name, Celestial Piper, right? Let's see. I don't want to miss anything back here. And you were so welcome, Junior. I saw that, and I wasn't sure if I was just going to do like a quick little video and then just share the video, or do it while on here. And I think it worked out this way. So, and let's see. When I paint, and I've heard a thing, and it kind of makes sense. If anybody's done anything like praying and meditating and some type of art or some type of creativity, you're actually operating either fourth or fifth dimensionally, which is like, wow. But it makes sense to me because it's almost like my spirit disconnects from my body in a way, and I am completely somewhere else, whether it's writing my book, if it's, writing poetry or songs, playing music, like literally playing and singing, especially when I sing, and when I'm painting or drawing or anything. I mean, come on. Our Father is the creator, right? So it makes sense when we unlock that creative part of ourselves, whether it's gardening or anything, that we are operating on a different dimension. Mind blowing, right? But anyway, yeah. Evil is strong, but guess what? We are stronger in him. So take that, right? Uh, well, so Nightblade says she saw something recently about the in God we trust on our money. Which God? Intriguing thought. Yes, which God? I say it's the little g God that they're talking about, not the creator of all. That's my opinion. That's what I have come to find. And I bet you a lot of you guys agree. Scroll back here. Probably going to be getting off here shortly. Tummy's telling me to feed it. Junior, my family are doing okay. If you guys could keep my husband in your prayers and thoughts. He pulled his back out yesterday. We had to clean our hot tub. You know, after a couple months or so, they tell you to drain it and then clean it. So we did that yesterday, and he pulled his back out. So he's in a lot of pain right now at work, and I feel for him because he provides for us, and he's a good husband and dad, great husband and dad. So if you guys can keep him in your thoughts and prayers, I really appreciate that. Let's see. Carolyn says piped. Maybe I should say pipe out instead of, like Marf says marf out. I'll say pipe out. Just kidding. It's so not me. So Carolyn says, Piper, my girl, Fleur Brun is very much connected to spirit. I feel this info. And then Nightblade says, hello to Carolyn and Junior. And let's see here. Where's my little scrolly? Okay. I have, Phil, a tuner that does do hertz. My only thing with the tuning to the 432 is because it's really the A string that you're tuning from what I had researched. And so when you're playing other chords and stuff like that, I mean, isn't it going to be on a different hertz every time you play a different chord? I don't know. I'm still looking into that. But I do have a tuner, an old tuner. I gotta just put a battery in it that actually has hertz on it. My husband found for me. Oh, you guys wouldn't believe. For my guitarists out there that know Yngwie Malmsteen, for my son's 16th birthday, guess what we got him over the weekend in Lincolnton? Yngwie Malmsteen signature guitar, 2011. Yeah. He has the best guitar in the house, other than my Martin, which is more expensive. But yeah. It's got the whole scallop fretboard and vintage style. It's the yellow one. So my husband's trying to find a cheetah print shoulder strap for it. Yeah, he's spoiled. And he's going on a cruise with his aunt and uncle in end of June into July for his 16th birthday. Kid's got it good, man. He is a good kid. I am really blessed with having him as my son. Da, 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 da. All right, I think we're just about done here. I just didn't want to miss anybody's comments. Get my arrow here. And okay. I don't know. Phil, I was a little bit disturbed because when I tried to guess which one was the 440 and which one was the 432, I chose the 440. I don't know if I need to be worried about myself or if it's just because I'm conditioned. And let's see. See, Nightblade, I'm telling you, we're like soul sisters or something. We are an Yngwie Malmsteen household. My husband has loved Yngwie since he was 14, maybe. I can't remember. But when he was younger, that's all he wanted to learn to play. And there was no guitar teacher out there that could play it. And then his friend Bob, uh, who was incredible, but he has agoraphobia, so he was afraid to leave the house. He was bullied super super bad when he was in school. So, but he taught him. He's an amazing guitar player. Oh, a lot of spiders coming to me lately. Come on, buddy. Please don't continue to crawl on me because I'm not a huge fan of spiders, but I'm getting over my phobia. Carolyn, I heard put them in the sun. For the crystals. We have every dang Yngwie album. if it's live and has the same songs on it, we still have it. It's my husband's a huge fan and has definitely made my son into a huge fan. My son plays really good. He started playing when he was 14, so he's going on about a couple years now. And I think to myself, man, that kid started like super younger. Imagine how he'd be playing now, because he's good already. He's just got to get out of that set in your ways stuff. But okay. Welcome, Jolanta, if I'm saying your name right. I've never heard that, so thank you very much. So it says you can bury stones and crystals in the ground or leave overnight and then rinse with running water or leave it in the sun. So maybe that's where that sun thing came in. Yolanta. Okay. So it's kind of close. Trying to think. Rising Force is a good album. I'm not like, well, I don't want to say I'm not sold out for Yngwie as far as, fans wise. I really do love his music. Favorite song of mine is Dreaming. But I can't think of all the albums. I know there's Rising Force, Odyssey. He has another one that has a lot of Nordic kind of songs, and it's pretty cool, Viking stuff and all. My husband, he could name them like that because he's the true real fan in this house. Okay, Yanta, that's very very cool of you to share that. She says she worked with hot stones, and that's how she charged it. I think you're doing really well, Yolanta. She said that she's a Fugel fan, just not that good at writing. I think you are fine. You're welcome. Well, I am going to get going because I got a bunch of stuff to get done. Some pieces that I made yesterday out of clay. They're all ready to little sanding and a little stuff added to them with some powders that I use and mica powders. And then I got to spray some acrylic sealer on it. And I want to work on some furniture today and get my downstairs cleaned up. So, those 3 days of having to rest because I felt crappy, well, guess what? It's over. So, hey, God bless to you too. And it says the Defy and one. Am I reading it right? Thanks for coming. Love and peace, Phil says to all of you. I second that. Love and peace to all of you. I truly, truly, truly love you guys to the deepest depths of my heart, and know that you are always in my thoughts and prayers. And you guys are my family. I don't know what I'd do without y'all. So I have changed things since I'm so busy with so many different things, so that way I don't burn myself out. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, unless I have to change it, which you guys will be notified. And we'll keep it around 10 o'clock. So hope to see you guys Wednesday. And if not, it'll still be available for you guys to watch. So I love you all. If you haven't hit the like button, make sure you do hit it. That helps us YouTubers out a lot. And okay, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's right, Carolyn. All right, 1,500 for Phil. All right, guys. Well, I will see you guys Wednesday. Don't forget that if you need to email me for anything, maybe it's a topic, maybe it's just for prayer or anything like that, my email is soldierofthewatch@gmail.com. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Be blessed, and keep shining that light so that they see your good deeds and know that they come from our Father Creator in heaven. All right, guys. I love you. Peace out. Bye, my peeps. This is Danielle, Soldier of the Watch, Celestial Piper. See you.